Dummy Switch Pod. The boys are
Yes,
back. How are you,
sir.
Chris?
Hey, Kodas. Oh, look, I'm all right. So I'm satisfied. Yeah. How you doing?
10 out of 10 tour. 10 out of 10 tour. The Dan Carters
Yeah.
of podcasting, where we're here to give you those rugby opinions, those flagrant takes. And yeah, you can give us your comments and your takes as well in the comment section.
hmm
Just some church announcements. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course here. Yeah, let's get down to the real business.
Yeah.
Uh Australia tour. It's I think it's a 10 out of 10, 10 points. Couldn't
hmm
really ask for more. But before we deep dive into that, um, changes in the box for the New
Yeah.
Zealand leg, the home leg.
hmm
Hendricks are in, Mone van der Berg out, Kitsoff in, Proby's
Mm.
out. It was stated that Vessels covers Hooker.
Yeah.
So that's the situation there. I think it's only Bongi and Marks currently in the
Yeah.
squad as straight hookers. Then
Out hookers.
the naughty boys are back. Esther Hazen and Visa also recalled, and Moody back from injury.
Yeah.
And surprise, Nicholas Janssen van Rensburg, he's been included.
Mm. Yeah. Look, that's that is a surprise, that is a surprise. But again, I
Yeah,
think with the guys that are coming back, just shows the quality and depth that we've got. I think Faflight, going out just just off the top of my head. Look, this past weekend he didn't do himself justice. Yes, tough conditions and so on, but yeah, we can see why Hobby's going out. I think a bit harshish in a way, as much as he also wasn't, firing on all cylinders,
yeah,
but okay, you know, um, yeah, Visa, okay, the ban, Moody, all right, cool, he's been doing well for the Bulls,
yeah.
and
Hendricks and Moody have been featuring in the Currie Cup.
yeah, so they've been showing, and Hendrickson recently he came back, he showed,
Yeah,
some good touches there, So yeah, but the big surprise, I think overall really is, Nicholas Janssen van Rensburg.
yeah. It's come out of
Yeah.
nowhere. He plays lock and slash flank, so I suppose the versatility. That's why they've chosen him.
Yeah.
And again, I've seen a comment out there saying that it's preseason for URC, so maybe Rusty's trying not to disturb the local teams by pulling some of their players. But I mean,
Yeah.
national duty is first and
Yeah.
foremost, in my opinion.
You know, you
Um,
know,
so I guess we'll
but
see. The only question I want to ask here is, do we even need to make changes? Do we need these guys?
some of them, yes. I think because of what they bring, like Kitsoff, within the scrum, because I think this past weekend, the scrum, especially on the loose side, wasn't that strong,
Yep.
So him coming back there, I think Hendricks with his kicking game and his game management, you can see room for him being brought back in, for that continuity in building up, those caps and that
Yeah.
depth. Moody, I would say yes as well, because I think maybe we might see something with him at 13.
Yeah.
I've just got a sneaky feeling maybe we might see, because Krill has really held it down there, and you saw I'm going to 12.
Yeah.
We don't. Who's the next guy at 13? I think we spoke about this
Let me
before,
just
but
let me just say no. We don't need these guys. We don't
no,
need these guys. I'm sorry. We
I
don't need these guys. We don't
I
need
say
kids
we
off.
do, cause
We've got Steenekamp. We've got Ox. We don't need kids off right now. We've got everybody here. The only guy that I'll say
yeah,
is Visa. The rest of those guys, I don't think they should be included. I think they should be included in the Argentinian league. Let these guys.
no,
Let them continue to play Currie Cup.
no,
Let them continue to get more form. We
look,
don't need these guys. We've got Reynach. We've got Williams. We don't need Hendrickson.
but
We
look,
don't.
cause we got to get them in now. For that, it doesn't mean that they're going to play immediately. That doesn't necessarily mean that they will, but we've seen brave selections being made, so there's a possibility, And for me, these guys, they've beaten the All Blacks, okay, you're facing the All Blacks, let's say. You're gonna go Steenekamp over Kitshoff,
Right now, yes. Who has Kitshoff has just played?
Okay.
He played what? 40 minutes against the Lions. That's the only
Yeah.
rugby he's played in recent. Steenekamp and Ox, they've been on tour. They're firing right now. You want to play a guy that's got 40 minutes? Let him at least get another 40.
Hey man, there's other guys that have been they played 40 minutes and they've come back in, So who's to say they won't do that, because we've seen a lot of the tried and tested being picked, So, but at the same time, doesn't mean they're going to play, immediately.
Yeah,
although you can see potentially, with the selections. For me, I think the Moody one, for me, there's just something that is telling me that maybe we might see that. It may not be against New Zealand, it can be against Argentina, but yeah, I say we do need these guys back in, and because guys were given chances, and we've seen now it's okay. Let's just reevaluate the picture, and then we can take it from there. I think we do need them.
Nah, we don't need them. We only need them for Argentina.
I say yes.
But anyway, let's move on to the Australian leg of the tour, second match. Just to set the picture coming into this, 10 changes, change in captain, the Muratism, he took over. Again, unfortunate for him, going off early. But this is the problem where we're all waiting for that moment, and unfortunately another game goes by without that moment.
Yeah.
Just another thing was the rain. This was also real rain. It wasn't, just wet conditions. This was real rain, and it affected the game. It was affected the game in a serious way. Territory obviously becoming even more important because of the error rate that's going to happen in the rain. But last week I had said I didn't think we were going to be able to do it.
I know.
But I didn't think we were going to be able to have a first half where we'd still be in the lead by the time that the guys off the bench came in. But we were lucky to have the lead, but we did have it, and we pushed on from there.
Yeah. I think definitely that first off, lucky to have the lead. Things didn't go our way. With definitely a leveler, big time, and had Australia been maybe 2 to 5% better, they could have found themselves in the lead in the first half.
I have overestimated who they are. They're not the proud nation we knew them to be. I think we've overestimated them in both games.
They are true, because I think because of the history, and that we know that Australia, we've struggled against them, especially over there. So it was one of those. And look, with the way that things were going, had you not had that insurance policy on the bench, it might have been a much harder task to get done in the second half, But I think even Murat, this time around, I think in this game, he looked like he was about to do something, man. There was a little bit of menace about him, and then he got hurt, and it's just that thing. It's just, you can't be an enforcer that gets hurt all the time. Like, I don't know if it makes sense.
I'll give him a break. No, I'll give him a break. Yeah, this one is unfortunate that he didn't get the time to really show something like some of the other guys did. So I can't be too hard on him there.
Yes, no. I'm not like being too hard on, but I'm just saying you can't be an enforcer that gets, like, you're getting hurt doing the job. So you know what I mean? Because, like I say, it looked like there was some menace to him, that one line out earlier on where he was going through the middle, working through. You could see that, okay, he was really up for it. So unlucky there that it didn't work out for him. Hopefully, he'll get to that one game where it does work out for him and we see the thing that we're looking for. But overall sloppy as well. And I think in that first half. Just a lot of unnecessary mistakes, and some of them you just think it's just basics. I mean, you think of Mapimpi, shifting the ball just to the right hand, who's this Mngomezulu, just two hands catch the ball, it's a try.
Yeah, that Sacha drop, it was try time there, and one thing is we're really good in open play. It came from Colby cutting through. We're no longer a team that open play, we don't really know what to do. But it was a big mistake from him, and it's something that we killed Willie Leroux for the previous week.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the discussion for me from this game, because you've got guys like Robbie's, Feinberg, Nokia. They did a decent job for guys that are third string.
Okay. Yeah.
So if we rate them, if we rate them on the scale of, because there were many mistakes in terms of Feinberg giving away penalties, Nokia calling the long balls when the weather's just not for that, Robbie's also skew lineouts, Nokia as well with the white line fever on the try line. They made mistakes, but those are mistakes that I'm willing to live with, because realistically these guys are basically around third choice.
They're
around third choice. My issue is now with Sacha, are we rating him on the same scale that we're rating Feinberg, Robbie's, Nokia? Because it looks like he's our starting fly half.
Yeah.
So if we can't be poor Sacha when we hammering Willie for doing the same thing. Because then otherwise he must, like, if we're gonna treat him like we're treating the guys that are third, because Pollard and Le Bok look good when they came on. So that's just my thing. In terms even Wessels, I thought he was gonna struggle at the scrum. He did give away a penalty, but that wasn't his fault. To me, that was the referee that didn't know what he was doing. Alatoa is not the best scrummager in my opinion, but he held his own. He held his own. So again, Wessels, these guys, 4 third choices, they did their job. My thing is now we can't rate Sacha on the same scale that we're rating these guys.
No,
because
you can't.
He dropped that ball, kickoffs out on the full, but he was man of the match. That's my thing. So it's like,
I know.
How are we rating him? Because I guess we'll see in New Zealand. I mean, versus New Zealand, are we gonna go with Pollard and we'll get a better picture of where he is in the squad? Because right now it looks like he's the starting 10.
No, those are preach. No, preach, because it's you're telling the truth there, Quarters, because that's the thing. He's been put up there, on that pedestal. So, those, if you look at it, it's basics. And he had a man outside, try time all day, every day, and even if it was dry, let's say, he could have still dropped that ball. So, because even more so because it was wet, you have to go for it with 2 hands. And, that killer instinct, it's early on in the game. It's a bit of a tussle. The weather already is a challenge. And this is that opportunity, you're not going to get those many opportunities. Okay, granted, in this game, there were chances, but you're not always going to get the many opportunities to, to capitalize on clear try-scoring opportunities.
And it's the same thing with Mapimpi, because we're going to look at that Mapimpi chance and we're going to say, this is why Mapimpi is not the starter. This is why he's not the starter, because Arendse would have finished it.
Yeah.
So are we going to look at Sacha and say, this is why he's not the starter? Because Pollard would have caught that.
No, it's the truth. It's the truth, their Quarters. And especially with Mapimpi, when you look at his experience, that makes it even worse, because, he's right up there as a top finisher, and if it's a tighter game, it comes down to it. At one stage, it was what, 2 points in it. Let's say it stays that arm wrestle, you count those and you think to yourself, geez, that's where you lost the game. There's been matches where that's happened. And it's unacceptable. For
me, I'll be honest, in terms of in terms of other aspects of their game, I think that both of them had decent games away from those things. I think Mapimpi actually had a very good game. You know, that nice
Yeah,
little
yeah,
kick for Fasi. I think Mapimpi had a good
mm,
game, but it's just those moments where you're gonna. Those are the moments where it's now a decision between, are you starting, are you not starting?
yeah,
You know.
true.
So the rest of the game, I think Sacha had a good game. The rest of the game, Mapimpi, the rest of the game, Sacha was just the restart, and I think one or two flat kicks. Vandenberg also had
Yeah,
one or two flat kicks, which you don't really want
yeah,
something contestable in that kind of weather in your own kind of
yeah.
half. But besides that, I thought they had a good game. It wasn't bad. I'm not too hard on like Vandenberg for the mistakes. I like a scrum half that tries things. Even Hobbies, I'm not too hard on Hobbies because of the weather. It's I'm not gonna
Look,
be too hard on these guys.
look, all I'll say is this, okay, from this past weekend with these guys, yes, they've made the mistakes and not. It's about, okay, like I say, the weather was a leveler. It provided a
Yeah,
different sort of challenge. And in a sense, for me, it kind of showed some of the guys that it was like, okay, yeah, but you're not quite there yet, where
yeah,
in any conditions or whatever, if we've got massive injury list and it's raining, and we'll firmly say, okay, you're the guy.
yeah,
There's going to be some sort of trepidation around that at this point. So, and that's why I say even Faf like Mone van der Berg, yeah, not right now. Sacha, I think as well, it showed that inexperience, game management, because as much as yes, in other aspects, he was good, but I think just in overall general commanding, it sort of it dimmed a little bit, especially there in that first half for me, But as it went along, we saw when Pollard came on, Limbok came on, things started looking a bit better, So yeah, and I hear what you're saying. They don't want to be too harsh, but at the same time, for me, it shows why it's not right now. And
yeah. It
yes,
was
they got to
when
continue
those
the
guys
blooding
came on.
process.
Yeah, when those guys came on in the second half, it just steadied the ship. There was more patience. There was
Mm,
a big part of why we couldn't build a lead in the first half was our restarts were terrible. Every single
yeah,
time we'd score points, we'd concede, and we can't get out of our own half. And what happened when those guys came on is that now there's a patience with Williams there.
yeah,
They were setting up properly. They were doing the right things, and they were, they could move the ball up the field.
yeah. Although I'll say this, you mentioned Williams. Yes, there was a difference, and you could see the difference in experience. But for me as well, even with him, it also showed there was some nervy moments where you could see that, okay, you're not. He's still also got to grow a bit more into
Ah,
into that sort of having that control, because and yeah, just in general controlling that base, and not allowing unnecessary pressure, because there were one or two moments where he did create that sort of unnecessary pressure that you didn't want in your own half, So all those things that can be fixed, but again, like I say, it shows certain things. Okay, why most of the times some guys will be on the bench or not in the squad, or one guy is starting over the other. That's just from my view, and even like a guy like Nokia, like when I was watching, I was just like, man, this guy. But then I remembered that, okay, look, he also needs to calibrate himself, and you would have thought he would have done a bit better with hobbies being his hooker at club level, and gone a bit smarter in terms of his calls, but which I think he'll get better, But again, he's not your right now guy, immediate,
yeah,
break break glass in case of emergency at the moment, But overall, that insurance policy kicked in, and like you said, there was more assuredness and more control, decisiveness in what they were doing, and and the more worked, it better, you can say, with those guys coming on.
Yeah, definitely, especially with the scrum being taken away. You want that battle and that
Yeah,
confrontation in the forwards. And without that, it was good to see that they were pragmatic in the way that says, okay, if you take away the
yeah.
scrum, then we're just going to maul at every single opportunity because we want that contest. We
Mm,
want that arm wrestle, that physicality to drain them and know suck in the forwards that we can play from there. So I
yeah.
think that was a good approach, very pragmatic. Of those, just going back to the last thing of those guys playing, I think Fassi of the newer
Oh,
guys or of the guys
mm,
lower down in selection, I think he was the biggest winner on the night in terms of
I think so too.
solid, scored the try. You talk about the conditions, but I think he handled them excellently, and it
Yeah,
wasn't the flashy stuff. It was the solid stuff under the high ball, being in the right position. So I think
yeah,
he's shown that the gap between him and Vili is not as big as maybe some
yeah.
people think he is, and some people think of him as a certain type of player, but he can
Nah.
be this type of player where that you need him to be in this situation.
Yes, I really thought so too as well. And I think for me, one of the key moments, yes, high balls, positional play, he did well. But one of the key moments for me was when, like, it was early on in the first half where he offered himself up as a willing ball carrier, running a hard line on the advantage line, and he number one, yes, he made a couple of yards, but he retained possession, and just that willingness now, all that comfortability where you're starting to see him wanting to inject himself into the game and early on, but also cutting out those mistakes from early doors when in contact situations he loses the ball,
Yeah,
things like that. He's I think he's grown a hell of a lot, and yeah, and that's what I wanted to see, and that's why, like, for me, I wanted to see him get an opportunity, and this was tough, in that weather, and I think he did very well, and he's definitely going to be knocking on the door of selection for the All Blacks, I guess, for the, presenting a different picture because he's a different kind of threat, but he
yeah.
can also be what the Boks need him to be.
Yeah, I think he's definitely more in the second choice than third than some
Mm.
of these other guys. Yeah.
He's very close.
Yeah. And if we just talk about the bigger picture from here, defensively, it was good. They didn't score
Mm.
any tries. And if we go
Yeah,
even bigger than that, it's 10 points. You've got two starts for Sacha. He could be our starting 10 moving forward. You've got a number of guys that have had their chance now and a
yeah.
proper chance, not a chance against Portugal.
Mm.
It's a proper
Mm.
chance against a tier 1 nation. So overall good tour. I If we have to talk things that you would have liked to see, I personally would have liked to see maybe a more of a Lebok, uh one or two things like that, but I don't know. How do
Yeah.
you feel about the tour overall?
Yeah, look, I think because of the 10 points, it makes it that even better. It's just those little things and those small small habits or small things that can turn into bad habits that, can end up having you on the wrong side of the result, because it's those little things that, that can be fixed. And like you mentioned, it's more your third choice guys that were in there or that were down the
Yeah.
low on the pecking order, so I think it can only get better from here, and I fully expect a much improved two games against New Zealand. I think this was just, yeah, good result, but I think only the beginning, and yeah, I can't really complain too much. But yes, I would have loved to see a bit more of a Lebok Pollard. Ooh, look, we would have seen that,
Yeah.
weather permitting. The weather doesn't really allow because we almost saw what we wanted to see, all the chefs out there. But yeah, I can't be too aggrieved. I'm just happy the class of arm is back. He
Yeah.
didn't he look so comfortable? And that's another headache as well because how good is he? You just, yeah. When you see him play, then you just think to
Yeah.
yourself, hey, this is a selection headache. So yeah, that's why I say I think good to be in a good place, and yeah, New Zealand, I think we should do well.
Yeah, fully expecting that. I think will get a few more minutes. The fly half situation is one to keep an eye on between the three of them. And
Yeah.
yeah, I
And
think
midfield, I think it's going to get interesting because with the Dialende and Moody coming back. Because I mean, look, we've got the wingers. We know Kirtley finishes Cheslin. You don't know what sort of picture they want to see against New Zealand. And considering they've played him there before, I'm just putting it out there, and possibly even Fassi giving another go. So
yeah, I
yeah,
wouldn't be too shocked
it's
at that.
exciting. It's exciting, but overall happy.
Yeah, any closing remarks on the box? And just have a bit of a chat about the Currie Cup, but I think that's it from you at the box.
Yeah, look, they've got the opportunity now. It's no better. I think we Boks haven't been in a better position to outright win the rugby championship and win everything that's in front of them. So yeah, fully believe. We won't always agree, but fully believe.
Yeah, definitely. Currie Cup, I only watched one match. I watched my beloved Lions
Your beloved.
against Western Province. I think things I'm more optimistic. I grow more optimistic every week. I think sometimes you look over the fence at what your neighbors have. You seeing
Yeah,
these young guys at the Sharks, these young guys at Province, but then when Province come to the Lions and you see how they stack up against each other, I
yeah,
think I'm happy with the boys. The way that they were playing, they were beating the press. There were a lot of interception attempts there. They were trying to press hard on them, but they showed that they could play through that press, and the guys have the ball skill, and they have that
yeah,
mentality, and they can solve the problem that's in front of them. And there's guys
yeah.
coming through like Renzo Duplessis.
Mm,
There's some guys there. Mafura's also looking good there. Darian Landsberg also much improved. So yeah,
yeah.
I'm happy with the boys.
Yeah, look, you actually took the words right out of my mouth. I was thinking about it earlier with the Lions, that the Lions, the youth system and the Lions and the youth that's coming through, they're in a really good place, and I think the next thing for them, if they can do well this Currie Cup, would be to get that sort of that same level even higher, to push further in the
Yeah.
senior URC and Challenge Cup competitions, to have that translate, and I think that positive feedback down the structures will be good for them, especially if they can go deep into tournaments at the senior level, and even with this Currie Cup, looking good, well coached, it looks like a young
Yeah.
coaching team as well, and yeah, a lot to like about the Lions, honestly, even if you're not a supporter, they're making Joburg happy.
Yeah. Did you catch any of the games?
Just a bit of the Sharks Cheetahs game was a seesaw affair, but but then the Sharks, the character JP Peterson, I think his coaching group and the team that he's put together, yeah, looking good. They've had some good, contract extension announcements and things like that. So
Yeah.
the future, just overall, in South African rugby, when you look at it, it's especially when you're looking at what the Lions, Sharks, Bulls are offering. Even Western Province, there's a lot to like, and yeah, it's the magic of the Currie Cup. I think we're getting closer to knockout rounds as well. So a lot to play for going into the coming rounds.
Yeah. I think that's it from me. Any closing remarks? My only closing remarks is now that Chitukas have been given their passport. So I think Emmanuel Chituka should have been there instead of Janssen van Rensburg.
Yeah,
It's
if
only
you're gonna
coming
go
to me
left
now,
field
but
like that,
he should have been the guy that should have been brought up.
if you're going left field like that, yeah, but yeah, the other kids must get a chance. Let the other kids let the boys play, man. Let the boys play.
Yeah, I think that's it from us, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks
All
for
right,
listening.
we out.